so we have a direction, and we have a new bed, and we have the bed sheet paper beneath it, which I'm testing. I've adjusted my lights because someone mentioned about, Strat Pack mentioned about reflections, so I'm going to try to fix that. And we're going to restore this back to the place it was. We're going to try to get it back to being a Strat. We're not going to do the loganization of it. I have another guitar that I'm going to do that on. So I'm just going to restore this one, and it's going to be interesting trying to get it restored. I have some ideas about how I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'll have to put them into place. Well, let's get rid of this stuff here first of all and see where we are. This is the cable for here, and I'm going to have to clean out the whole. We just put that over there in the jar, all the junk. I'm going to have to clean this all out. Or am I? Let me just see how we're going to fix this. I was thinking about how I'm going to work from there onwards. I'm not sure. I'm still looking at it. I'm thinking epoxy rather than I'm thinking replacing the wood and gluing it in, because they made such a mess of these side issues that, no, I'm actually just seeing something else that I don't like here. And let me look at it and see. Alright, I thought so. Can you see down in there? Like, what is that? That is the base of the guitar. It's been ripped off and down. Let me just show you. So it's not connected, so it's sitting loose. Right, I thought so. Right. Alright, I gotta pause now. Oh. I have a feeling that the screws are poking through this and touching this. I'm going to strip it completely. That's the only way to get seeing what's going on in there. I still haven't recovered from that cold. Today I was just awful, but I must keep going. You can't give up. So it's like a rebuild in many ways, but worser. Because it's worser because we don't have all the structure that we need. So let's look and see what we need, and then I'll try to replicate it. Oh. What's this? What's this here? Oh, I see what they've done. That's why the springs are loose. They had it blocked so the trem arm wouldn't work. I wonder what those things are there. At first sight it looks like romaine. R-O. No, I can't make it out. R-O, and then the last, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters, and it's R-O, unknown letter, M-I-N, R-O, something M-I-N, that could be anything. But it was made in Indonesia, so maybe the easiest way to do this is to tidy up all the mess they made and put a sheet of wood across in there, and then give us that to finish off with. Yeah, so I think, for example, if you put like putting a sheet of wood in there across the whole thing, I'll investigate that aspect further. So some of you may be horrified at what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use maple or wood. I'm going to use pre-stressed board. You know that, what they call flat board? Because I don't need a lot of strength there, it's more of a covering. So I'm going to cut out a piece to fit perfectly in there and use that, because that will do the job better than everything else, and I don't have to wait 2 weeks for maple to arrive. But it's not a strength, that's quite a strong board anyway, and that will do the job. It will definitely do the job. So I'm going to shape this now. Just to bring you up to date on what I'm doing with my bench, I've been revamping it. So I went out today and bought some linoleum, just linoleum with felt backing on it. And so I've turned it upside down so the felt backing's there that won't damage the guitars. And then I bought about 100 sheets of this. This is the kind of stuff they put on a trolley or a bed when you go to the hospital. They put a sheet over it before you get examined, and then they throw it away again. So I'm testing this. I imagine it might be more awkward as they go along because it'll get dirty quick. But the problem is a lot of luthiers use carpet, which is fine, but I always found that the carpet gets little bits of metal stuck in it and all that, and I'd be afraid of scratching the guitar. And the carpet is sort of, it takes away from the focus of the guitar as well, because if there's rough or fancy, as you know, to my cost with the yoga mats took up the focus because they were all ridged around the edges. So I'm hoping that this paper will give a better focus, but also keep the bench cleaner. There are some pale blue shades you can get, but anyway, I've made a template. I haven't checked to see if it's the right size, but it's going to fit in there when I've finished. But what I have to do now is round off the corners. So that's my next job. I'm going to do that off camera and come back when it's done. Right, so there's the two sides leveled off. And I've also leveled the bottom a little bit. And that will fit in there now. And then when I round the corners, it'll fit in even tighter. And that will sit on the ends at the bottom there. So I just round off the corners now. I think I'm going to, we're going to do a test first of all. Round off the corners, probably put something down on that, like a heavy glue, and then put that down. But I might even paint that or color it black before I do anything. Okay, so they're not rounded off, but they're cut off, the corners. So sue me. That's nice and tight in there. So is it too tight? Is it too tight? Oh, there's some gunk here. Let's get rid of that gunk. I want to keep the shelf. There's a tiny shelf there that you can't see in the black. Right, so it's sitting firm. So I'm going to paint everything black before I go any further. But my intention is paint all that black, put that in there, and put that on top of it. Let's just make sure that it's going to fit. Let's just see. Yeah, there's a cable there. That cable needs to go to the underneath. Right, that's fine. Right, so the intention is paint it black, paint that black, smother that in glues, put that in there, and there's a ridge there, and there's a ridge there for the back to sit on. And then when it's done, paint that all black. No, I'm not going to put that wood piece back in again. I'm going to paint it all black from there right back, make it all black, because I can't match up that. I can't match up that color at the end, so be all black. One thing I haven't thought about yet is the gaps in there, but I might just wood filler them and paint that whole thing inside black. Add some strength to it. So put the top on and then add some wood filler, pack it in there, and give it more strength that way. This is only a beautifying effect because there's not going to be much. It's not going to do. The guitar's strong. It's still strong. They haven't damaged that. So that's what I'm going to do. Get everything, get it all cleaned out, more even so, and then paint it black. We're back onto this again, and the black paint has arrived. So I'm going to black paint this all inside and on that side and that side, and then I'm going to glue it down. My name is Matt. My name is Matt Black. Georgie girl's jumping all over the place. Right, so I'm not going to go daft on this, just going to hide it a bit. That's all this is going to do, is hide. Right, so I'll wait for that to dry and then I'll turn it over and do the other little bit. Okay, it's dry enough now for me to carry on. So I'm just going to actually, this is not important to be glued solid, so I'm just going to stick some super glue on there, maybe in a corner or two, and then just set it back in again, because I'm not that worried about it. It's not being a support thing at all. And that'll allow me to work on it again quite quickly once that glue has given some sort of strength to it. I'll give it a minute or two, because what I'm going to do is once it gives a minute or two, I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to fill in there with fillers and in there with some fillers. Am I going to fill in? No, I'm not going to fill in there with some fillers. I'm just going to paint that black. Maybe paint the sides black too. Okay, so I can do that now actually. Come back and start putting this thing together. Okay. Well, I haven't spent what you would call hours on trying to figure out this mess of wiring. I've decided to strip it and start again, just a standard Strat wiring. So I'll probably speed this up, because all I'm going to be doing now is just taking off everything that's there and trying to get myself a base to start on. Because none of that wiring there is in any way resembling what it should be. So I'll start stripping it. Bloody hell, that was a pain in the ass. It's not shorted now, but it's a pain in the ass, I tell you. Let's hope that switch is working after all that. Right, let's get these earth wires all in one and get them. so new potentiometer. It looks new. Those potentiometers look new, but they're obviously not. Right, okay, so that's, come on you away. So that's faulty. Let me just smooth that out. Why am I smoothing it out? Gives me time to think. And I like playing with it. Anyway, alright, okay. So I'm going to change that pot. Ah, God. Well, I managed to get the wiring done, but I had to get the meter out and wire it completely differently because they had not used a Fender switch. It's very bloody frustrating, this guitar, because that's a Fender neck and that's a Fender body. That's Fender, but this is just a Frankenstein thing. Wrong switches, wrong 5-way switch. I don't know about the pickups yet, I'm going to check them, but it looks like it's a Frankenstein guitar. Somebody's butchered it by cutting away all the inside, and then they threw on this pick guard which isn't fitting this guitar, so I'll have to re-drill all the holes. The switch was one of the cheapy switches that you get in these kits. This is a kit with one of those cheap 5-way switches in them, where there's 1, 2, 3. That's your first, second, and third pickup. But the Fender switches are different from that. Very similar but different. So I'm going to double check what I'm telling you, but that is not Fender. Anyway, it won't matter because what they did to the back, because you can see I've hidden quite a bit of it, what they did with cutting away has ruined the price of it. But it is a Fender Indonesian Fender neck. It's a Squire body and a Squire thing. It's just that they screwed it up with this thing. Don't know what they did with the original Fender one, but it's a pain in the butt. It took me 2 hours to wire that because with so many faults with potentiometers, 5-way switches, and the pickups. So I'm going to double check what I'm telling you now, but I'm pretty sure that, I'm not even sure if that's a Fender or not, but it might be because it seems to fit okay. Usually Fender have Fender written on those intonators, but the Squire Indonesian might not be like that. Sometimes the light takes a long way to travel into the back of my brain, but after some research I figured out where we are with this. That neck is Fender, the body's Fender. This pick guard is not Fender at all, it's just one of the cheap ones you can buy for 15 or 20 quid. The people before had probably carved out carved out the original Fender onto this to get their humbuckers or whatever they were going to put into it. But this cheap knockoff pick guard, they've replaced the pots with some other kind of crap, and they went bad, so I had to replace them. So that's the story. The problem is that this Fender Squire is a Fender Squire bullet from Indonesia. One of the cheapest you can buy. I think you can buy Indonesian Fender Squires for 100 quid. So with screwing this all up, they've even reduced the value of that even more, but I can get it playable. I have to put a transfer up there to take it back to a bullet. I think I only have a transfer for the, no, that's good enough. It's good enough. It's got most of the things we need on it, and so I'll do that. So what I'm going to do now is just put it all back together. The wiring is all done, everything's working, I've tested it. So I clean the neck a bit, get it all back together. I'm going to have to take all the bling off the top so I can sand that down, because whatever they've done there, they made a mess of it. So I think probably taking the bling off will be the first thing I do. Oh, that's not screwed down yet. Those screws aren't done yet. But you can see the back looks more, it looks hidden, it looks okay now. So I'll take the bling off this end so I can sand it. Oh, and it all comes off the other side. Because there are no screws on these. So let's get on with it. We have a very stormy night in Northern Ireland here. Weather warnings left, right and centre. And because I live in a mobile home, the place is rocking and you can hear the noise. Yes, I'm trailer trash. I still feel sad for this guitar because it's not worth putting a good Fender thing on that. It really is not worth doing it. So I'm going to sand that now with some sandpaper. What else would you sand it with? Huh? Huh? I've got a couple of very interesting guitars coming up. One quite old, but in a terrible state. But I think I might have a creative way to bring it back to a nice, attractive way appearance. Right, so I'm going to take that in and give it a light spray, and then let it sit. And I'm going to go on to another guitar now while this is drying. Because I can't wait for spring. Is that in focus? I think it is. I'm going to put on the decals. I'm going to put on the Fender and the Stratocaster. Georgie girl, stop it. And I'm not sure what else I'm going to use on it. I think the Fender, Stratocaster, all that is one piece. Probably use... Yeah, I'll probably put them all on. Alright, okay, pause. Okay, so we've got a lukewarm bowl of water. Not too hot, just very, very... You wouldn't get into this in a bath, I tell you would not, because it's far too cold, but it's just a little bit... Well, maybe some of you hardy people would get into it in the bath, but I wouldn't put it like that. So we'll let that sit a minute or two. I forgot to tell you that has been sprayed now. I think I did say that. There's a light coat of gloss on it. I'll put these on, and then I'll put another good coat of gloss on to seal those into the place. Now these are ones that I haven't used before. These provided by the client. These are pre-cut, and that is a genuine Fender neck, so I'm happy enough to put them all on. Not made in the USA, but it says quite clearly on it, made in Indonesia, but we'll see what happens. Still having troubles getting this camera the way I like it. Excuse me. It's water. You don't like water. Right, okay, now I'm going to have to just do some... Could you just excuse me? Just put some water on the neck. This is not going to be easy if you're going to be a pain in the ass. Right, so let me just see if this is moving at all. You only get... I don't need your help. Thank you. You only get one chance at it. She's not happy with me telling her off. She actually gets cross. She doesn't stop what she's doing. She just gets cross. Not ready yet. It's not for you to play with. Could you just... When I need you here, I'll tell you when I need you here. It's wet. If I put a drop of that on your nose, you wouldn't be too happy. Hey, no, oh no, yeah, that's beyond the pale. Right, but she has shown me now that it's ready to come off because it is moving. So let's just make sure that it's moving across. So thank you, Georgie girl, for that assistance. And the original thing would go up there. I don't know where the hell this is. Custom shop. No, I won't put that on. Okay. Now a bit of tissue, and Georgia girl, you can just wait there while I do this. Okay. These are definitely a much better decal. They're not as fragile as the others. Some of them are quite fragile. These are quite good. So I think the thing is knowing when to stop. I think the Stratocaster that's fine. I'm going to let that sit. I squeezed out all the water gently with my thumb, very gently. And we'll see. While the transfers are drying, I'll try to do something with massive holes that they put in this thing. Them's is big holes. Right, that's everybody done. Now let's let that sit. And the neck needs to be done, but I don't want to start doing the neck until the decals dry at that end and until I get this fixed in position. So I'll just finish screwing these down. Let this rest in peace, and we'll come back to it. It's back on the bench, and the bench looks different because I moved my camera, I moved my lights, everything. But anyway, this has been done. The Fender. Not happy with the stickers. I thought I was happy with them at the start, but I'm not happy with them because they've got all sorts of little ripples on them, despite the fact that I put them on. I can't let you see the ripples, so maybe it was me, but that's with a coat of, there you can see it there, that's with a coat of gloss on it, you know, clear gloss. So now what I've got to do the neck, clean the neck up, get the strings on, put the body on, because I'm going to have to re-drill all these holes now that they're solid. So I'll do that after I get my dinner, because you can hear the microwave going away there. So talk to you later. Right, the first thing to do is to locate a hole which is roughly where it needs to be, so I can tie it down. And there's one there. Did you see I cheated there? Did you see that? I cheated because the edge of the cut, this is the wrong pick guard, so the edge of the cut is too tight. And so the only way I could have done it was to take it all off again and glue a bit of wood to that, and I'm not going to do it. I just put a thing in there and super glued it, because it makes no difference in the long run, because when you go to turn that, it'll come away. Should it ever need to come off again, and hopefully I'm not going to be the one that needs to take it off. So, right, so we're going to turn this over, aren't we, Austin? We need to clean that off a bit. Something's wrong there, and that wire needs to be soldered through. Yeah, needs to be soldered through onto that. Okay. Where is the back panel? I'll just pause there and get the back panel. some guitars you're just not meant to be satisfied by. Now I'm going to go to the other end and I'm going to do the head. That's one thing about the overhead shot, you mostly see my hands. Well, I've got beautiful hands, so why shouldn't you? But that's beside the point. But I think this is going to play well. I think it's going to play okay, and I think the neck's going to be okay too with it. So maybe I'm just gurning too much. What do you say? Am I gurning too much? You may comment below to see if I'm gurning too much. Gurning, for those Americans who may be watching, is moaning and complaining. They actually have competitions in the UK, gurning competitions. Well, gurning can mean pulling faces, like gurning. And in, I think it's Cornwall, maybe even in London and some of the Midland countries, they have gurning competitions so you can pull the ugliest face. So now I'm going to do the neck. All I'm going to do with this neck is give it a rough clean. And now what's happening with a clean? Let that sit in it. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, just about to put the strings on. I've threaded them through the trem arm, or the trem block. And I'm just about to put them on, just taking away the last remnants of the oil, giving it clean. So I'll speed this up, probably speed up the whole way right to the tuning. Okay, gonna have to do some intonation here, so let's just get on with it and do it. Intonation. Somebody asked me the other day about intonation, to explain it. The distance from there to the 12th fret should be the same as there to the top of the bridge, and so that should be an E, that should be an E. So if the distance from there to there is shorter, then it's going to be sharp. If the distance from there to there is longer than the distance from there to there, then it's going to be flat. In this instance, it's shorter, so it's flat, so the intonator needs to go back. That screw thing needs to go back. But because this is a hand job, that intonator is just about as back. Well, actually, that intonator is back as far as it possibly can go. So, Georgie girl, don't eat cables. But the main string, the one that's the problem, is the E string, and I can't bring it back anymore. So what I'm going to have to do is take out this little spring that's there, to give myself more room to, let me just bring this back to get it intonated. Right, okay. So that's good enough. Now what I'm going to do is take that string off, take that intonator off, remove the spring and bring that back. Let me just double check it again now that all the strings are tight. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to pause now and come back. Well, there you are. I was in with a little bit of luck. I didn't have to remove the spring. I managed to squeeze it back right up tight to the spring. I've adjusted the string heights and the intonation now is pretty much perfect and it's all playing well. Next thing to do is just to go let it sit and give it a tune again and then play a demo. I don't think there's anything else. I don't have a trem arm for it. So it's going to go trimless, but of course I have the lock. It's locked anyway, that bridge, that trim arm. So, right, the next thing to do, surprisingly, is give it a play and then give it a polish and clean and send it home to Daddy. All right, next. Okay, no, I'm not the mystery man. This is about guitars, not about me. I have no ambitions to be famous. Had a little bit of that locally. Didn't want it again, thank you. Enough over 22 years. But this is the Fender Bullet Frankenstein Stratocaster. It's all working well. It's in tune now and it's doing the job. It sounds nice. Oh, if you could play it. It's all there. So, I just don't know. What else can you say about it? Doing everything it needs to do. But it's a Frankenstein. It's not the guitar that it says on the label, unfortunately. I think if this had been a proper one, you'd get 100, 110, maybe 20 for it. But as it is now, even though it's a nice player and it plays well, I think you get about 60, 70 quid for it, you know. Wish I could play guitar. Again. Okay, I'm going to let you go with that because that's enough. It's not about me playing, it's about the guitar. Everything's working now, and there you go. My favorite chord. All right. Bye-bye. Georgie girl's pushing her nose up against the cam. Don't, it shakes the cam. Georgie girl. No. Okay. Bye-bye. Oh, right, Georgie girl has to get her ass in the middle of it. Right. You don't show people your ass. It's rude.